Guys, I must admit that I do not read as much these days as I once did. Occasionally, I will take one of the devices around me, something like the Pixel Fold, I think is actually really good for this, and throw a book on there, or maybe my Surface Duo back in the day, another great choice for reading. But again, I just can't find myself really getting engrossed in reading anymore. Maybe it's just this constant deluge of entertainment that is all around us. It's TikTok brain. I don't know. I've heard many people around me say that they read better when they have a dedicated device for reading. They put their phone down and they pick up something that's just meant for reading. And I thought, maybe I need to try something like that. So I looked around and I found a product and I sent an email over to the kind folks at Boox. I love the name, by the way, Boox. That's absolutely brilliant. And I said, would you be interested in collaborating with me for a review of one of your products? They said absolutely they would love to. And they promptly sent over the Note Air 3, I think. It's the Air 3C, which has a color display. This is still e-ink, I presume, but apparently there's color e-ink now, which is really, really cool. So in this video, we're going to review my experience with the Note Air 3, and we're going to start that off with an unboxing. Through this video, we're going to span a time frame of probably a week or so, starting now, unboxing, and then moving forward. So this is the packaging here. I think that this looks really nice. I'm kind of like big on the unboxing experience, right? Like I feel like it needs to be of a certain quality when you're talking about a more expensive device. And I think that they're doing a pretty good job here. Actually like a different finish on the letter in here. Make a difference, it says. And I believe this is a sleeve that we're going to sort of slide the main box out of. Yep, there we go. Very, very tight sleeve as well. And now we have an embossed logo there to look at. Not much else, very minimal, which I gotta say, I think I dig. Taking the box off, foam padding inside the box. Many of you probably won't care about this stuff, but I do. And here is the device itself. We're gonna set this aside. That is very, very thin. We're gonna set it aside for a second and take a look at what else is in here. I'm gonna assume paperwork, documentation, guide, so forth in that box. And then over here, we're likely to be seeing cables. Not the guy from X-Men. I doubt he's in here. Looks like a pretty robust A to C cable. Good to see. There is a stylus. I don't think I knew that that was a thing. What do you draw with this thing? Here's the device itself, and it looks like we have a peel to do here. I like that orange accent. And so one of the like immediate things about devices like these I find just fascinating is that it looks like the screen's on, but it's not. But it's because these things don't require power to have the screen stay in the state that the screen is in. I guess it only uses power when the screen changes. So it'll just look like that even though it's turned off. Looks like over here, that looks like a power fingerprint button. And then down here, is that a spot for the pin to attach magnetically? And then, holy moly guys, there's a spot for the pin to attach magnetically there as well. There's like a couple of little icons there, might be hard to see, but the pin attaches there. Does this thing come off easily? Yeah, so there we go. So the pin, there's a pin guys. The pin just stays up there. And I reckon that's really about it in terms of buttons. Couple of speakers, USB-C. I don't see any like volume keys anywhere. So that's kind of interesting. Let's zoom back in and let's power the thing up. I'm gonna long press that power button and we have some stuff happening. Oh man, that feels so weird. That does not feel like I'm writing on a screen at all. That feels like I'm on paper. That's crazy. Whoa. That is such a different texture. I really can't even like explain this to you. Maybe you can hear it. That's really, really strange. We'll go forward, volume up and down, left and right on the side of the screen, and then back is a swipe from the left or right edge. That is cool. So that explains why there is no volume thing. You're gonna do that. That's really different. And I'll say that if this is a launcher on top of Android, they've done a really good job of making it not look like Android. I don't know what the operating system is here, but this does not look like Android at all. One thing I do want to quickly point out to you is that you can very, very faintly perhaps see the outline of what we had on the prior screen. Customize scan path. Let's go back into this screen and you can see, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but there's a little bit of that there, and that is a limitation of an e-ink screen. Here's another screen though that really tells me that this is running a skin on top of Android. This is really, really interesting. This is Android, guys. What's this little, some sort of like a little quick settings? That's interesting. Can I move this around? I can. The frame rate is quite low, but you can move that around. Is there a control center if you go down? Yep, there sure is. Screencast, child mode. Yeah, this is Android. What about under apps? What do we have here? Yeah, there's the Play Store. What on earth? So this thing can just install Android apps? Oh man, I'm gonna have so much fun with this. What does the Play Store look like on this thing? App optimized tutorial refresh mode. Oh, you can change balance. Let's see what ultra fast looks like. You can change the DPI. That is really, really interesting. And I want to take a second and look at how it's presenting these colors. I hope that that's nice and visible. I wonder if I give it more light. No, that's not going to help. You can almost see some like banding in those colors. But I mean, it's definitely color, right? Like this is not going to be the same level of color reproduction that you're going to have on a normal like LCD or OLED screen. So that's definitely just not going to be the case. Does this have auto rotation? There is a rotate button. Let's turn on auto rotate because this will allow it to fit. There we go, on camera, even better. Beautiful, I love it. So we got signed into the Google Play Store, and I want to show you this thing over here. If you swipe up on this left side, that's where you can change these refresh modes. So let's see what HD looks like. And I guess presumably that refresh rate, yes, it's much slower, but I guess the image quality is meant to be better. But you can go to this ultra fast version, and I mean, it's a lot slower than a regular screen, but that's pretty doable, right? And that immediately kind of got me thinking, what would it be like to run YouTube on this thing? So that is exactly what we're going to do. Maybe we are. I tried. Let's try that again. So there we are. We are in YouTube. Let's go into my subscriptions. And we'll fire up Mr. Mobile's review of the Humane AI pen. And I'll let you hear the speakers here in just a second, but I want you to see what this looks like. And it is very, very strange indeed. Oh, something has happened. Oh, I think I actually just locked it. I think I just hit the lock button. That's just what it looks like when it's locked. I thought that was like rebooting or something, but it's not. That's just what it does. That is really, really different. Okay, let me show you this again then. There's a lot of like banding in the colors, if you can see there, but I am actually like shocked at how usable this actually is, and I kind of want to go outside with it and see it in bright sunlight. And so that is exactly what we are going to do. We are outside. It has actually just rained quite heavily, and it might be difficult just because of light on this, but let me tell you guys, that is actually really, really quite viewable, even doing something stupid. I mean, look, you're not meant to be doing this with this thing at all, but look at that. You totally can. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump into CPU-Z. I'm curious if this will tell me what kind of hardware this thing is actually running. Qualcomm Snapdragon 665. That is a pretty old processor. So Speed Demon, this is not going to be, but it's not meant to be doing, as you can see, I installed Minecraft on here because I'm going to do something really stupid in this video, but that's not what it's meant for. It's meant for reading books. And so let's jump over here to Library and let's see what we kind of have here. So save documents to the books folder in storage. So of course, you can just put books directly on this thing yourself, but there is also going to be a store, there you go, that's going to let you purchase and download books this way as well. The Banned Books Complete Shakespeare. So that is really cool. But I love the fact that I can jump into the Play Store. I don't think it's pre-installed, but I can install Google Play Books, and that's going to work fine as well. Let's see if it'll let us do anything in the notes taking section without actually logging in. Let's create a notepad. And this is cool. There's lots of different layouts here. We're just going to go with blank and create that. And I guess you can just sort of type, but can I just write as well? Wow, and that's actually really responsive. Is there palm rejection? That is the most like writing on paper I think I have ever experienced in my life. Is it anything with, no, it's just the pen. That is awesome. I can't really explain to you how satisfying that actually is. It really feels like I'm writing on paper. And like when you go home, you see a little preview of your note there as well. This is really, really good. I want to look at the keyboard here for a moment as well, because we have a keyboard, but we also have a handwriting thing. So let's do YouTube Music. And that works just fine. I've never had a more satisfying writing experience with a stylus on a screen than this. I really can't, I don't know how much more to say about this, but it is extremely satisfying. Let's close this. Just because I can get this out of the way really, really quickly, I'm just gonna play a little bit of a song so you can hear what this speaker system is actually like. I'm still struggling with the volume thing, so I'm just gonna do this. So it's definitely fairly tinny. There's not a whole lot of bass there, and I think what I can do here is I'll pull up the same track on my Pixel Fold, and you'll be able to kind of hear a comparison there to like a more normal phone form factor. Not a whole lot of depth to it, but that's fine. They're speakers and they are functional. They're going to do just fine. This is not like a multimedia machine, so for what they're meant to be doing, I think that's going to be okay. I wanted to look at these navigations here because I'm not really understanding them. So if I look at this, you can actually customize these. E-Ink Center, back, home, and then back. And if I click on one of these, I can go in and tell it what I want it to be. So that's potentially pretty cool. I'll let you see what the options are on all of these. And I'll go back. I do notice that the multitasking switcher doesn't appear to be mapped to anything. So let's go over here to the side. Oh, you know what? Duh. Up and down swipe gestures are off. So we're going to turn them on. Okay, we got something there. Okay, that one worked. You know what? I bet it's working, and I bet I'm just not seeing that it's working. I bet that it's just not telling me anything. And then we have back gestures on the sides there as well. So we're going to turn both of those on. Can I change this to anything else? Color temperature, volume. Okay, so I think that's probably fine. I might see what it's like to use the navigation buttons though, because I think that it might make more sense on a device like this. Because then I can use this multitasking button, and that might actually come in handy. I think that's the way we're actually going to go, and that's going to tell me we have about 3.8 gigabytes of RAM. Before I go any further though, let's go ahead and download this firmware update and get that installed. I just realized something. I got so into this and was having so much fun with this, I forgot that they also sent this as well. The Boox cover. This is some sort of cover for this device as well, so we should probably unbox this too. All right, looks like we have a magnet that's going to hold it in place. I wonder if there's enough room there for... Oh, there's nothing on it, which tells me that this entire thing is going to be like magnetized. Guys, look at that. Come on. Oh, that's in there too. Wow. That is really, it's really in there. And then it seems like when I go to close it, that actually does lock it. This material is really nice. This is really soft touch as well. I just now locked it again. So yes, there's definitely something in there that's locking it. I'm going to stop locking it though, and I'm going to let it finish updating. So I kind of want to show you this case a little bit. I think that this is really solid. I love the way that this thing just sort of slaps down. The whole thing is magnetic. It does not feel like it's going to fall out of this thing at all. And I can show you, I mean, there's nothing holding it in but magnets. That is absolutely not going anywhere. But I also really like the fact that on the back side, you can fold it up into that triangle shape and then sort of let it hold itself up. All you got to do then is fold that back around. It's magnetic back there too. They have thought of everything when it comes to this. Set this thing up and it's hands-free at that point. This is a really solid case. Oh, and if you're wondering about the pin, it's going to go on the top side. And they've actually left enough room in there for it to seat in and for this flap to still go over the top. I say once again, they've thought of everything. So let's look at the actual store here because I think it actually needs some attention. I was noticing, looking through this, that I was seeing a lot of maybe like older books and books that I just maybe not like the most popular, most current things. So I jumped into search, and I'm going to search for my favorite author, which is Thomas Harris. I guess it was already down there, and I just touched something and cleared it. So we're just going to use my search history. There were no results for Thomas Harris. That's pretty surprising. What about The Lord of the Rings? Surely we'll have something like that in here. And again, there are no results. So what I'm beginning to discover here is that their store just doesn't have a great selection of books in it. That's a little bit annoying, but the good news is you can just sideload your own books. You could go into your web browser. Maybe there's a website that you use. You could download them that way, or plug it into your computer and sideload them that way. Or once again, let's try Google Play Books and see how that works. And this was a book that I was actually trying to read from my wife. It's called A Court of Thorn and Roses. And I would say that this looks just fine. Now, I do want to see quickly if I'm able to get the 2-page split thing going on. I think if I just tap, yes, I can pull this up, and then I should be able to go to 2 pages, which I do prefer. I don't know why. It's not really helping anything. I just like it. So you don't have a great store built in, but you're running Android, so you can kind of just do whatever you want to do. I've been off center this whole time. I'm so sorry. You can just do whatever you want to do, and that's going to be just fine. Let's see what other kind of controls we have over here in the e-ink section. I forgot that is now, I've removed that from the system. That gesture is, I guess, not there anymore. So maybe now you get to it from over here. E-ink center. Okay, great. And we'll put it on balanced because that should do better on battery life, I would imagine. What is Regal? That's a new one. That system update seemed to add a new option called Regal. I'm not sure what's so regal about it, but this is working just fine. You can see how that animation played is maybe not the best. I may end up just sacrificing some battery life to have ultra fast just so that the animations are a little bit better. I don't think I could handle it in any other way. I think I'd have to stick with this. I did also notice that when I use the stylus, I'm highlighting stuff. So great job by Google Play Books on just natively supporting a pen, I guess. And here is a comic book, and I don't know what it is about this, but this looks really cool. This almost looks like an old school comic book. But of course, you can double tap to zoom in and scroll through it. I don't know, there's just something about this. You know how comic books almost have this like slightly desaturated sort of look to them? I can't really explain it, but if you've looked at a comic book in real life, you know what I'm talking about. This just kind of looks like that. I do want to look at some of the other applications that are on here because these are actually kind of cool. So Books Drop. This appears to be some sort of like wireless file sharing thing, like maybe to make it easier to send stuff to your device. That is kind of interesting. Dictionary, Play Store, Push Read. This appears to be like, again, with your Onyx account, an RSS reader. Recorder, let's see how this does. Okay, so I am apparently recording some audio. It's interesting that the waveform here is not moving at all, but I guess that makes some sense. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, so I am apparently recording some audio. It's interesting that the waveform here is not moving at all, but I guess that makes some sense. So that does not sound very good at all, but I guess it's there if you absolutely need it in a pinch. Screensaver, is this going to be? Yes, so you can actually customize this. I'm really happy to see that this is an option. And they have some, there's a calendar and a clock. That's pretty cool. You're probably gonna have to use that Onyx account to get that calendar going, but it's there as an option. A short note or a clock. So we're gonna go back to image, and you can select an image, which means I'm gonna need to do something. So we've jumped into my Google Photos account, and I'm curious if I grab this image of Rose and I download it. Let's go back, and we're gonna go back into Screensaver, and let's do select image. And it's downloaded, but I'm not seeing it. They've got a few options here to work with, and they have the PC push content, again, a way to push stuff to you. So it looks like they have to be cloud download path, local scan path, screensaver, pictures push, so it's not in the correct folder. So we're going to need to address that as well. Let's go back into the Play Store. Let's get that installed and we will make this work, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. I clicked on the wrong one. That's the one I want. Stupid advertisement. All right, let's go into my main storage. We're going to go to DCIM and then restored, and we're going to grab that application or that photo that I downloaded. We're going to hit on move, and let's go back into pictures, and we'll just paste it there, and we'll see if now it is able to see it. And again, I don't see that program showing up in the multitasking for some reason. It just does not seem like it wants to show up there, but we'll work around that. Screensaver, select images. Is it in here now? It is. So we can now select this, and I guess that's all there is to it. So let's lock. And there we got the picture of Rose. That's pretty cool. It doesn't look amazing, right? There's more of that color banding. Like this thing can only display colors at a pretty low bit rate. Is bit rate the right word? Like there's 16-bit color, there's 32-bit color. It's a low one of those. But that's how you would go about customizing that image. Just in case you didn't think I would do it. Oh, I'm gonna do it. I mean, you can. You can. But boy, oh, look at the ghosting from the from the little controls. I'm leaving like a little, this reminds me of that thing when you were a kid. It was like a little thing you'd put your pencil in and then it would like spin and it'd make these little grids like that. That's basically what I'm making on the screen. I mean, it's trying. Look, there was a fox running by. I mean, that's pretty cool. Probably not what this thing's meant for, though. So we're sitting at about 5 days since I got this device in now, and I think it's time to start drawing some conclusions and giving a verdict at the end of what is, I believe, going to be a fairly long video. And let's start this conclusions section with the battery life. Now, I must say that I've done pretty much everything I can to make the battery life worse on this thing by increasing the refresh rate. There's actually a setting that will have the device fully shut off if it's been idle for a set amount of time. And I think I have mine set to a full day before that happens. And even still, I think right now I am sitting at about, I think it was 38% battery, and it's been about 5 days. It got here with, I think, 89% battery. So I would say that is a success. Yes, it's actually 37% battery. I wouldn't say this has been in heavy use, but I did give it to my wife, who is a bigger reader than me, and let her read on it a bit as well. She's had it outside in the backyard doing some reading, and she has enjoyed it quite a bit. And again, battery life seems to be pretty solid. It's an e-ink display, right? Devices like this, the screen takes up a ton of battery. This doesn't have a proper screen, so the battery life is going to be pretty darn good. You're at least going to be getting something like 5 days out of a charge, even if you're doing what I'm doing, using it very, very heavily with all of these settings disabled that are meant to extend the battery life. You should be in pretty good shape on the battery. I want to show you guys what has been my favorite way to use this thing so far. Comics, manga, things like that are absolutely amazing on here. It's not a particularly bright day just yet. It's still early in the morning, but it doesn't matter. Even if it does get bright, it handles this so well. And like I said earlier, it really does have this look like you're looking at an actual comic page paper. I love it. It's really, really good. If we go back to the very beginning of this video, I mentioned that I thought it might be good for me to have a device that's only meant for reading. That might kind of funnel me towards the reading thing a bit more, less distracted by the other capabilities of my device, notifications coming in and so forth. But you may have noticed this thing runs Android, so it can do all of the things that my phone can do, technically speaking. So if you were wondering, did that end up backfiring? Does that actually make the device more of a distraction from the reading? The answer I have found has been no, not really. And the reason for that is, it turns out an e-ink screen does not make for a great Android tablet in terms of doing Android tablet things. You can browse the web, you can watch YouTube, but you're not going to, because it's just not a great experience doing those things with an e-ink screen. I'm glad that all of those things are there, because it allows me to go, fire up Chrome and download a book from whatever source I want and then read it in whatever reading app I want. I can install my own comics app. I can install Kindle. Whatever I want to do, it's right there. And once I'm in a reading app where you're looking at one still screen for long periods of time, it's absolutely fantastic. So I think it has this really nice mix between capability, but also, because of what kind of device this is, still far, far fewer distractions than I would have on a standard, Android device. I do want to really quickly bounce over to their website, and let's take a look at what this thing actually costs to get. If we're looking at the non-color version, you're looking at $3.99, or you can see the prices here, currently $4.47 for the bundle that I received with the pen and the case and the tablet. And I must say that the case and the pen are really, really good. I love the note-taking experience on this device. It's really, really solid. If you go to the color version, the price does go up. You're now at $4.99, or currently $5.47 for that same bundle. This is a premium device. And I do want to point out to you that the build quality is indeed premium. It feels very, very solid, very well built. I think it looks nice. It does play the role of a premium device quite well. A cheap, low-end e-reader, this absolutely is not. However, I gotta point out a few things, a few places where I do think that it falls short. We're talking about a very expensive device, so we have to highlight these things. The performance is not inspiring. Opening up things like YouTube, as you saw earlier, it's pretty doggone slow. This is an old chipset. This is not a high-powered device. Now, it doesn't need to be, but for the price you're paying, which we're going to discuss here in just a moment, you do wish it was a little bit more powerful, because you can buy a low-end Android tablet that runs very similar software that's going to be a lot faster. Now, speaking of that software, they've done quite a bit of work to make it look very, very different. They have their own custom launcher on there, and I think that it does a pretty good job. Again, it is a little bit buggy at times. There's just a little bit of a lack of polish on that software and performance side. Sometimes you go to launch an application, it acts like it's launching, but then it doesn't. This is a minor hiccup, right? You just tap it again and it opens up. I don't want to paint the picture that this is like ruining the experience of the device. But again, if you're talking about a device that is this expensive, you might expect it to be a little bit smoother. I'm not a big e-reader person. Maybe this is par for the course for e-readers. Maybe people buy them because the screen is great, that e-ink screen is great, and that's what they want out of a good build quality, a good e-ink display, and the software is secondary. Me, as a like a normal Android user, a tech person, maybe I'm seeing it from another perspective. That performance, the software polish does need to get a little bit better to come in line with how good the hardware actually is. One more somewhat minor complaint that you might not care about at all: the magnet in the pen needs to be a lot stronger. It is very floppy. It can fall off relatively easily, just moving the thing around or flipping the cover back on top of it. You might knock that pen out of place, and that could result in you losing it. So guys, to wrap this thing up, I'm quite impressed with this device. If you're looking for an e-reader that is sort of a one-stop shop, everything is right there on the device. In theory, you don't even have to ever plug this thing into a computer. You can do everything you want straight from the device and have pretty much whatever book, whatever comic you could possibly imagine. You may have to source it yourself, but it can do anything you need it to do. It's going to look good. It's going to have a really, really top-tier stylus experience. I like the case that it comes with that one bundle a lot. This is a complete product, and I am quite impressed with it. As an Android tablet, I would say it's pretty darn bad. But for what it's meant to be doing, you don't care about the refresh rate all that much. You don't care about the pretty weak speakers. It's going to do the e-reading stuff really, really well, albeit at a premium price. Again, it's not cheap. This is an expensive reader, so you're going to have to decide if it's worth it for you or not. Guys, I do want to quickly say thanks again to Boox for sending this device over. As with all of my reviews, they are seeing this review at the exact same time as you are, which means they were given no early copy or editorial input, and no money was exchanged hands for the production of this review. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.